Hello and welcome back to The Note. What is going to happen to the stock exchange if Scots vote yes later this year and decide to become independent from the rest of the United Kingdom? Well, my guest today has been giving this matter a lot of thought. He's one of the co-authors of this report, the Scotsy 100, 60 Years of Scottish Stocks. He's a finance professor from the London Business School, Paul Marsh. Paul, thank you very much for joining me once again.
Thank you, John.
We'll start by taking a look at this index that you created, comparing Scottish stocks with the rest of the UK over the last 60 years. It's quite remarkable, first of all, how similar they are. And it's also quite remarkable how dramatically Scotland fell behind when we got to the financial crisis in 2008. Why are they so similar, and what exactly drove that underperformance most recently?
Right. Well, here we have 60 years of performance of both Scotland and the rest of the UK. That £1 that we start with became 1168 in the rest of the UK and was just 648 in Scotland. The gap, as you say, didn't open up until the financial crisis. Before then, the two moved pretty much in lockstep. They crossed over 38 times, and so at 38 points they were exactly equal in terms of
remarkably similar economies then, remarkably integrated economies.
Absolutely, very much. This has been the United Kingdom, and it's been an integrated economy, and Scotland has been very similar in that respect to the rest of the UK. Where Scotland was different was that it had two very large banks, Bank of Scotland, HBOS, and Royal Bank of Scotland. And in the financial crisis, well, the rest is history. We know what happened to them.
Okay, let's take a look at what exactly you would get for your money if there were such a thing as a Scottish stock exchange. And we have to make the assumption here that every currently Scottish domiciled company decides to be part of a Scottish exchange.
Absolutely.
So how does this differ from the UK? I mean, this certainly doesn't quite look like the FTSE lineup of companies, does it?
No, it doesn't. This is the 20 biggest, and the biggest is, in terms of free float capitalisation, investable capitalisation, is SSE, the utility company, then Standard Life, then Royal Bank of Scotland. Royal Bank of Scotland would be masses larger if it weren't for the government holding, which is not part of its investable capitalisation. Scotland has about 54% of its current market capitalisation, free float capitalisation, in financial companies. And a big chunk of that is in investment trusts, which were invented in Scotland, and they've been around for well over 100 years with a very distinguished history. So of these 20 companies here, 10 of those were investment trusts. The others are big industrial companies like Weir Group, Agreco, and John Wood Group, Cairn Energy, and so on. So there's quite a lot of household names there. All of these companies are in the FTSE 100 or the FTSE 250. There's one more FTSE 250 company, which is AG Bar, which makes Iron Brew, which is very famous in Scotland.
Okay, but in general, this does look like quite a different composition from the FTSE as a whole, despite the fact that its performance has been so similar over the years.
Absolutely right. Today there are exactly 100 stocks that you could classify as Scottish, and those are really rather different now. Historically they've been quite similar, but the big difference here with the FTSE 100 is you haven't got the big mining companies, you haven't got the big pharmaceutical companies, and you've got a bigger weighting in the financials.
Okay, let's finally take a look at the breadth of this would-be Scottish Stock Exchange. This is looking at how big a weight the very biggest stocks have, and you can see that Scotland is not so much less diverse than Italy or the Netherlands, really quite substantial European stock exchanges. Will they actually be able to set up a stock exchange? Can this happen, or will there be incentives for companies to change their domicile?
Well, it's a complicated question because nothing's been pre-negotiated, so we don't know what independence would actually bring. But I think Scotland, when you think about it, there have been 32 countries that have gained their independence over the last 25 years. All of those, bar two, have set up a stock exchange. Turkmenistan and Kosovo are the exceptions. And Kosovo's talking about it, and Turkmenistan has built a stock exchange, but nothing happens there. So Scotland would look odd, and it's got this proud history of financial services, so you would expect a Scottish market to be a natural development. On the other hand, all of the current Scottish stocks are listed in London, They have FTSE membership. And I think it would be a hard job for Scotland to tempt them away from London and the liquidity which the London market offers to a new Scottish exchange.
So are you suggesting, for a final question therefore, that maybe this would be one UK institution that Scots hold on to even if they vote yes?
I think it's a bit like the monarchy, it's a bit like the pound sterling, and it's a bit like the Bank of England. The Yes campaign would like to keep all of those as shared resources. I would add to that the London Stock Exchange and the AIM market.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much indeed. Something for Scots to consider when they think of voting yes. And apart from the crisis, this is a very similar market to London, but it's difficult to make that strong a case for separating it.